The 13th day of the Kurukshetra war was one of the darkest days for the Pandavas. The battlefield was soaked in blood, and cries of both triumph and despair echoed through the air. On this fateful day, the young warrior Abhimanyu, son of Arjuna and Subhadra, was trapped in the infamous Chakravyuha, a military formation known to be impenetrable. Abhimanyu, having inherited his father's valor, entered the Chakravyuha bravely, fighting fiercely against seasoned warriors. But as the formation closed in around him, the Kauravas broke all the laws of honorable warfare. 6 great warriors, Drona, Karna, Ashwathama, Duryodhan, Kripa, and Kritvarma, attacked him simultaneously, something forbidden by the codes of war. Unable to withstand such an overwhelming assault, Abhimanyu was slain. Surrounded by warriors from all sides, Abhimanyu fought valiantly, but alas, struck by Karna's arrows and overwhelmed by Drona's forces, he fell. His body lay on the field, still holding his weapons, though lifeless. When the Pandavas learned of Abhimanyu's death, sorrow engulfed their camp. His father Arjuna had been fighting on a different front, and the news had yet to reach him. As evening descended, Arjuna returned to the Pandav camp, unaware of the tragedy that had unfolded. He noticed an unnatural silence. The atmosphere was heavy with grief. His brothers, usually eager to greet him, stood with downcast eyes. His heart skipped a beat. Something was wrong. Arjuna approached Yudhishthira and asked, "Why is there such gloom in the camp? What news weighs so heavily on everyone's heart?" Yudhishthira, barely able to meet Arjuna's eyes, spoke in a voice filled with sorrow, "O Dhananjaya, today we have lost a great warrior, your son, Abhimanyu." The words pierced Arjuna like an arrow. His legs weakened, and his voice broke. Abhimanyu, gone? How could this happen? Bhima, his brother, clenched his fists and responded, "Arjuna, they broke all the rules. 6 of them attacked him together. Abhimanyu was trapped in the Chakravyuha, and they slaughtered him like cowards." Grief transformed into uncontrollable rage. Arjuna's heart burned with fury as he heard of the betrayal, the cowardice of the Kauravas in ganging up on his son. His face reddened, his fists clenched, and his voice thundered, shaking the very earth beneath him. Arjuna looked up at the sky, his eyes burning with unshed tears. He let out a roar, "They took my son. They dishonored the laws of war. If Jayadratha had not blocked our forces, my brothers could have saved Abhimanyu." In his grief-stricken fury, Arjuna made a terrifying vow in front of all the assembled warriors, his voice echoing across the camp. "By my bow, Gandhiva, I swear that by tomorrow's sunset, I will slay Jayadratha, the man who prevented us from saving Abhimanyu. If I fail to do so, I shall cast myself into the fire and end my life." His brothers stood silent, knowing the gravity of Arjuna's words. They feared for him, as Jayadratha would surely be well protected by the Kauravas. But Arjuna's determination was unshakable. Krishna, the divine guide, looked at Arjuna with compassion. Though he too mourned for Abhimanyu, he knew this was not the time for sorrow but for action. He placed his hand on Arjuna's shoulder and spoke gently but firmly. "Parth, I understand your pain. Abhimanyu fought with the valor of a lion, and he has attained the highest realms of warriors. But remember, grief must not cloud your judgment. Your mind must remain clear, for tomorrow will be a great challenge. Jayadratha will be well guarded, but with focus, you can overcome any obstacle. Channel your pain into purpose." Arjuna, though consumed by sorrow, nodded. He knew that Krishna's wisdom was his greatest strength. Krishna's words reminded him that his duty was not merely to seek revenge but to uphold the principles of dharma, for which Abhimanyu had fought and died. Krishna continued, his voice calm yet filled with resolve. "Let your arrows carry your love for your son and your dedication to righteousness. we will find a way, Parth. Trust in me, and together, we will fulfill your vow. The following day, the Kauravas knew of Arjuna's vow. Fearing for Jayadratha's life, Duryodhan placed him at the center of a heavily fortified formation, guarded by the best warriors of the Kaurava army, Karna, Drona, and even Shakuni. But Arjuna, fueled by grief and guided by Krishna, was unstoppable. He cut through wave after wave of Kaurava soldiers. His arrows, fired from the legendary bow Gandhiva, tore through the enemy ranks with the fury of a storm. No one could stand before him. The battlefield trembled as he fought like a man possessed. As the day wore on, however, Jayadratha remained out of reach, shielded by the relentless defense of the Kaurava generals. The sun began to descend toward the horizon, and time was running out for Arjuna. Seeing the setting sun, Arjuna's heart began to race. Was his vow about to fail? Would he have to end his own life for not fulfilling his promise? But Krishna, ever calm and all-knowing, saw the situation differently. He smiled and with a wave of his hand, created an illusion. He caused the sky to darken, making it seem as though the sun had already set. Seeing this, Jayadratha, thinking he was safe, emerged from his hiding place and began mocking Arjuna. Arjuna, you have failed. The sun has set, and I am still alive. But Krishna, with a quiet smile, dispelled the illusion, and the sun reappeared, still above the horizon. Krishna turned to Arjuna and said, Parth, the time is now. Arjuna, regaining his focus, drew an arrow that shone with the light of his righteous anger and aimed it at Jayadratha. With a single, powerful shot, he released the arrow, which flew through the air like lightning and severed Jayadratha's head. As per Krishna's plan, the head was carried far away, falling into the lap of Jayadratha's father, who had vowed to curse anyone who caused his son's head to fall to the ground. Thus, Arjuna not only killed Jayadratha but also avoided the curse. As Jayadratha's body fell lifeless to the ground, the Kaurava army stood in stunned silence. Arjuna had fulfilled his vow. His heart still ached for his son, but he had avenged Abhimanyu in a manner befitting a warrior and upholding the principles of dharma. Krishna looked at Arjuna, his eyes filled with wisdom and compassion. You have done well, Arjuna. You did not act out of rage alone but with focus and determination, guided by the light of dharma. Remember, even in the deepest sorrow, it is righteousness that must prevail. Today, your love for Abhimanyu has guided your hands, but it was your commitment to justice that brought you victory. Arjuna bowed his head before Krishna, grateful for his friend's guidance. Though the pain of losing Abhimanyu would never leave him, Arjuna found peace in the knowledge that he had upheld his dharma. Thus ended one of the most intense and emotionally charged days of the Mahabharata. Arjuna's grief, transformed into a force for justice through Krishna's wisdom, reminds us that even in the face of great sorrow, it is dharma, the path of righteousness, that must guide us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories.